Good morning. Buenos días. Hola. ¿Cómo le va? How goes it with you today? Today is Wednesday, the last day of May, 2023. Do you realize one more month, June, and we are halfway through the year? Wasn't it just New Year's Eve? Time flies. By the way, I heard confirmation, but I hope this is true. Someone told me, seguro, seguro, that means for sure. No more changing the clocks. When the summer's over and the fall comes, there's no more falling back and getting extra hours of sleep. And then in the spring ahead and lose an hour of sleep. They are keeping daylight savings time forever. That's what I heard. But I heard this from people who work here who said that they had looked into it. I hope it stays that way. You might like the change. But you want to hear about a mess? 1 Samuel chapter 11, Saul has just been named king. He had people linked to him. God put it on their heart to support him. Others were scoundrels. They brought him, not only didn't bring him gifts, they despised him. He hadn't done anything wrong yet, and they despised him. How about that? You think that's bad? How about Nahash the Ammonite? Chapter 11, Nahash the Ammonite went up and besieged Jabesh Gilead. So these are neighboring peoples who off and on are always fighting with Israel. And all the men of Jabesh said, this was a border city on, I believe, on the other side of the Jordan. They said to him, these people, make a treaty with us and we will be subject to you. In other words, we don't want to fight. We'll just lay down our arms and we'll be subjugated to you. I mean, why fight? Why bother? We'll just pay tribute to you. Whatever you want. We just don't want to fight. We're too small. They had no faith in God. But Nahash the Ammonite replied, I will make a treaty with you only on the condition that I gouge out the right eye of every one of you and so bring disgrace on all Israel. I mean, really. I've heard of some bad characters, but Nahash the Ammonite, you're a bad little boy. He says, yeah, I'll make a treaty with you, but I want the right to gouge out the right eye of every man in Jabesh Gilead, just to shame you and bring disgrace on Israel. Who could make that up? Talk about sadistic and arrogant. The elders of Jabesh said to him, give us 7 days so we can send messengers throughout Israel. If no one comes to rescue us, we'll surrender to you. In other words, give us time to go out. So instead of fighting and lay siege, and we'll surrender to you, but give us 7 days to see if we can get someone to bail us out. And he's so sure of himself, he said, nobody's going to come and fight with me because I am Nahash the Ammonite. When the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul and reported these terms to the people, they all wept aloud. They were ashamed, fearful, disgraced. Just then Saul was returning from the fields behind his oxen, and he asked, what is wrong with everyone? Why are they weeping? And then they repeated to him what the men of Jabesh had said. When Saul heard their words, the Spirit of God came powerfully upon him, and he burned with anger, but a good anger. He took a pair of oxen, he cut them into pieces, and sent the pieces by messengers throughout Israel, proclaiming, this is what will be done to the oxen of anyone who does not follow Saul and Samuel. In other words, he's going to do something. Then the terror of the Lord fell on all the people, and they came together as one. And when Saul mustered them at Bezek, the men of Israel numbered 300,000, and those of Judah 30,000. So he got 330,000 ready to rumble. So now God is making the circumstance for Saul's leadership and God's help of him to be manifest. See, while he was plowing with oxen, who was going to gather behind him? He had to have an opportunity for God's blessing on him and the call of leadership to be illustrated, to be shown, seen. So what he's doing as king behind those oxen, I'm not really sure. But when the word comes to them of the disgrace that's coming on their fellow Israelites on the other side of the Jordan, an anger, righteous anger comes on him. And he offers up a sacrifice to God. That's a good way to begin anything. Praying, worshiping. Although with Saul, it couldn't have been of a very deep kind. And he then says, no mas, no more. We're not taking it. Now, they've been subjugated to the Ammonites. In the natural, they're not a match for the Ammonites. But when God gets a hold of somebody, you become, in the good sense, a fighter. You want to see deliverance come to people. You want to see people locked up. Oh, I have a story for you. I'm so happy to tell you this one and how God, in some small way, used me. 12 years ago, I had a junior secretary on Sundays. I had two of them. I have people, women, sisters in the church who help me get through Sunday with all the who's visiting, what I have to remember to do. But I got a hold of two 12-year-olds, and I had them help me. One was very sweet and quiet. The other one was named Nadifa, and Nadifa was a piece of work. She grew up in a very difficult projects in Brooklyn, where I used to play a lot of serious basketball when I was still in college and out of college. Serious. I played against at least 2 NBA players in those full court games. College players galore. Nadifa was from there. And I tried to help her. I felt if I could get her close to me and the other workers, we could try to influence her because she grew up tough. Guns everywhere. She was always talking about guns and shootings going on. But she had that edge in her, that Brooklyn edge. And then she started getting out of control and not talking politely to people and me in front of other people. And I said, Nadifa, you're not acting right. Oh, yeah? Who made you so smart? That's how she was. But I let it go. I was trying to be patient. And she just... You know what's going to happen, Nadifa? You're going to end up getting in real trouble. Now you have all the answers. And she'd be like, when I would talk to her, like, why am I wasting my time listening to this guy? So, but I loved her. Loved that little 12-year-old. So, finally, she went over the edge, and I said, I can't let you help me anymore. But you know what? You're going to get in trouble. And when you're in trouble, probably in jail or whatever, just know you can reach out to me. I will always be here as long as I'm alive, and I will always love you and try to help you. You got that? Yeah, like I'm going to need you. You know, she was all the way. She went Brooklyn. When she woke up in the morning, she was Brooklyn. And she just stayed Brooklyn the whole day. So for years, I haven't seen Nadifa. And a couple times, I would think about her often, but I would pray for her. One Tuesday night, I would just cry to God, God, don't let Nadifa die before I can see her again. Preserve her life. I'm talking about a rough neighborhood, rough crowd. I have a police officer friend who's retired, and he told me he worked in that precinct, and murders, shootings, all the time. And I would cry to God for Nadifa. You know, some people, God puts them in your heart. So this Sunday, I'm taping here on a Monday. Yesterday, I'm in the praying with people before the first service, and I'm ready to go down. And they say, there's a young woman downstairs waiting for you right outside the elevator on the right-hand side. I said, who? Her name is, she said, you know her. I said, who? What's her name? Her name is Nadifa. I said, Nadifa. I get off that elevator. There she is, 24 years old. I hug her. I said, I'm so happy. Sit in the meeting. I'll meet you afterward in my office. Come up, see security. I want you to come up. You'll meet Carol, my wife. So the meeting goes on. She comes up to my office and we talk. She gives her testimony. Because I mentioned her name, I don't want to say all the things she got involved in. But in and out of juvenile facilities, like you and I would get coffee every morning. Got involved in a very bad lifestyle. And then she said, I got put in a cell. Now I'm getting older. I'm in and out of jail, judges, and now I'm going to be before this mean judge. And my friends are telling me, you're going upstate. But I had just been in Rikers Island. I can't do time. I'm not made for this. I can't live this way anymore. And I cannot be sent upstate. Oh no, you're going to be sent upstate. Because this judge wouldn't let his mother go. She tells me, and Carol, I cry to God in the cell and say, God, if you're real, listen to her reasoning. No filter. If you're for real, you made the heavens and the earth. You made everything. If you have that much power, then you have power to help me with this judge. She goes before the judge and everyone is shocked because the judge just gives her parole and lets her go. I'm crying inside as she's telling me. So now she's working in a doctor's office. She's taking some classes coming up in radiology. She wants to be involved in that kind of work. And I said, but Nadifa, God spared your life. God has spared your life. But you know what? That instinct inside of me to fight for her. And other people who worked around the office said, you shouldn't have that little girl here. The way she talks and acts. That was God inside of me and praying for her. Listen, I'm flying today. I don't want to meet the King of England. I don't want to meet the president. I don't want to meet anybody. I want to see Nadifa serve the Lord. How about you? Do you know a Nadifa? Go after her in the name of the Lord. See you tomorrow.